Assalamu alaikum, this is Mahroor Talib and my topic of presentation is tick-borne diseases. The diseases that we are going to discuss here are rickettsial diseases. Basically, rickettsia is a genus of non-motile, gram-negative, non-spore forming, highly pleomorphic bacteria. They occur in the form of cocci, bacilli. Their threads are up to 10 micrometer long. As they are obligate intracellular parasites, so they depend on entry, growth, and application within the cytoplasm of living eukaryotic host cells. Rickettsia species are transmitted by numerous types of arthropods, including chaga, ticks, Philia lice. But as we are focusing here about tick-borne diseases, so they are usually transmitted in humans from an infected tick bite. The organism can also gain access to humans through broken skin, conjunctival contact with infected tick tissues or feces provides another route for rickettsial entry. Rickettsia are mainly responsible for typhus, botany, rickettsial pox, African tick bite fever, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Flinders Island spotted fever. The disease course, after they got to enter into the body, they have an incubation period of 2 to 14 days. The induced phagocytosis allow rickettsial entry into the endothelial cells, where they replicate by binary fusions in the cytoplasm and nuclei of infected cells. This induces a generalized vasculitis leading to activation of clotting factors, capillary leakage, and microinfarction in various organs. In severe infections, hypotension and intravascular coagulation may coexist and culminate in cell, tissue, or organ destruction. Now we are going to discuss Rocky Mountain spotted fever. It is basically a rickettsial disease which is spread by tick bite. It is a multi-system disease, but a particular organ may be the major focus of the disease. If the brain or lungs are severely infected, so that can also occur. The common signs and symptoms of Rocky Mountain spotted fever include fever, headache, and rashes, skin rashes. Basically, dehydration is an early and the first sign of Rocky Mountain spotted fever, followed by increased vascular permeability and edema. Myalgia or muscular tenderness, which are manifestations of skeletal muscle necrosis. If not treated on time, so they could lead to partial paralysis of the lower extremities, gangrene of the extremities, deafness or hearing loss, movement disorder, and speech disorder. The clinical manifestations include creatinine kinase elevations, thrombocytopenia, decreased plasma volume, hypoproteinemia, hypoalbuminemia. The diagnosis include immunohistologic demonstration of rickettsia in biopsy specimens of fresh lesions is the only approach that can yield diagnostic results in a timely manner. But this approach is only significant only to those that are presenting with skin rashes. The more striking laboratory abnormalities of Rocky Mountain spotted fever includes normal leukocyte count with a shift to the left, hyponatremia, thrombocytopenia, elevated serum transaminases or creatinine kinase, CSF pileocytosis. However, these findings are observed late in the disease course. The recommended treatment include tetracycline, which is basically doxycycline, 100 milligram orally or IV 2 times a day for at least 7 days and for 2 days after the temperature is normal. Chloramphenicol is reserved for the pregnant women, and the erythromycins, penicillin, sulfonamides, amino glycine, and cephalosporins are not effective in treating Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Now we have another diseases that are spread by tick bite, which are anaplasmosis and ehrlichiosis. Anaplasmosis and ehrlichiosis are two closely related tick-borne bacterial diseases spread by the bite of infected ticks. Formerly, anaplasmosis were called human granulocytic ehrlichiosis, abbreviated as HGE, which is spread to humans by black-legged deer ticks infected with the bacterium Anaplasma phagocytophilia. And ehrlichiosis or human monocytic ehrlichiosis, abbreviated as HME, is spread to humans by the lone star tick infected with the bacterium called Ehrlichia caffensis. The symptoms are the same for both and may include fever, muscle ache, weakness, and headache infection. The skin rashes are not present, which are present in the Rocky Mountain respiratory fever, so they are not present in these diseases. Usually, these diseases produce only mild to moderately severe illness with high fever and headache, but may occasionally be life-threatening. Okay, so the diagnosis include the symptoms and possible tick bite exposure may cause a healthcare professional to suspect one of these infections. Laboratory tests confirm diagnosis by seeing if the bacteria or antibodies against the bacteria are present in the person. The treatment include tetracycline antibiotics. Usually doxycycline is the drug of choice for both anaplasmosis and ehrlichiosis. The dose include 100 milligram orally twice daily for 10 to 14 days. Now we have a case study here about a GK person, GK, who is 78-year-old man living outside Duluth, who is present with an influenza-like illness in late May. He has a 2-day history of fever, shaking chills, headache, myalgia, nausea, and anorexia. On examination, his temperature is 39.4 degrees Celsius, but other physical findings are unremarkable. No skin rashes are found. During questioning, he stated he had multiple tick bites about 2 weeks ago while he was fur trapping. The physician suspect anaplasmosis and prescribed doxycycline 100 milligram per hour twice daily for 10 days. Blood is also drawn for serology, and these were the results about all the tests, laboratory findings. So they are asking about how does this case fulfills a diagnosis of HGA. How we come to know that this is a case of anaplasmosis. So this is what they are asking. So DK's history is significant for HGA. He was in the right place, the upper Midwestern United States, and was outdoor during the right season. Because most patients are diagnosed with HGA in May to August. The usual incubation period from tick bite to illness onset ranges from 5 to 21 days. His symptoms are also important. Nearly 100% of patients with anaplasmosis have a fever greater than 37.6 degrees Celsius. And he also has he also was having shaking chills, headache, myalgia, nausea, and anorexia. Matching laboratory findings include neutrophilic moroli. The observed leukopenia and thrombocytopenia strongly support the diagnosis. Evidence of mild to moderate hepatic injury is seen by the elevated liver enzymes and elevated C-reactive protein also are helpful in anaplasmosis diagnosis. Finally, he has good response to doxycycline with fever resolution in 2 days. So if the fever persists for more than 2 days after doxycycline treatment, then it would be the another case. But here he has a good response to doxycycline. So it was a correct case for anaplasmosis. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.